10.2 and 10.3. This is multiplying polynomials. And if you remember yesterday, we learned how to add and subtract polynomials. Now, we're going to learn how to multiply them. But if you remember yesterday, adding and subtracting, what did we have to have in order to add and subtract polynomials? Like terms. Very good. Whenever you multiply, you do not have to have like terms. You can multiply anything by anything. So if I had x plus 3, I would not be able to add those together because they're not like terms. But if I have 2x times x plus 3, I can multiply this 2x because it's multiplication. You do not have to have like terms. So it would be 2x squared plus 6x. Okay? So just make sure you remember that. Don't let that mess you up. What we are going to learn is we're going to learn, first of all, the order to multiplying polynomials. An easy way to remember how to multiply is called FOIL. FOIL stands for first, outer, inner, last. And what it's talking about is it's talking about each placement of terms. So when we say first, okay, this is a set of terms and this is a set of terms. So I'm looking for the first term in each set. So Cameron, what do you think would be the first term in each set? And in the second set, what would be the very first term? X. So I multiply those together first. X times x is x squared. It is not 2x. 2x would mean I would be multiplying 2 times x. X times x is x squared. Now, outer. What it's talking about with outer is the very outside terms. If you were looking at this as a whole problem, what are the two very outside terms? X and 3. And that's a positive 3. So x times 3 is positive 3x. Then I have inner. So if those terms are the outer, what do you think are the inner? 2 and x. What's 2 times x? Positive 2x. And then last, if x and x were the first, then the last terms in each set are going to be 2 and 3. 2 times 3 is 6. Make sure you multiply the last terms. Do not add them. That is one of the most common mistakes when doing FOIL is people say, oh, 2 plus 3 is 5. No, you multiply. FOIL is multiplication, so we've got to multiply. Now, this is what we're left with. Does anybody see anything I can simplify?
Yes, ma'am.
What is it?
The 3x and the 2x.
Exactly. These are like terms, so I can add them. So I keep my x squared. 3x plus 2x is 5x. And then I have plus 6. Is this in standard form?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, because it goes in order. So I know it is correct. All right? Somebody tell me, how many letters does the word FOIL have in it? 4. How many terms did I have in this multiplication problem? 4. So when I have 4 terms, I can always use FOIL. However, if I do not have 4 terms, I cannot use FOIL. If I have 3 terms, or if I have 5, or if I have 7, or if I have 10, I've got to use distributive property. And we'll go over that in a minute, but anytime you have 4 terms, use FOIL. All right, so let's go over that. All right, say this with me. First, outer, inner, last. First, outer, inner, last. Okay? So let's do FOIL on these problems. Bailey, x plus 2 times x minus 4. What would I multiply to begin with? X and x. Perfect. X times x is x squared. What would come after that, Rashid? which is
x and negative 4, and now become negative 4x.
Perfect. You never want to write it 4 and then, x and then negative 4. You always want to write it the number first, negative 4x. Okay, Asia, what comes after that?
Wait, what we at? Okay. First, right, outer, inner, so 2x.
Positive 2 and x, which is plus 2x. And then finally, Morgan, what would I multiply? 2 and negative 4, which is negative 8. Very good. Pay attention to your signs. Pay attention to your signs. And how would I write my final answer?
X squared, subtract negative 2x, and negative 8.
Very good. X squared minus 2x minus 8. Because what I did here was I added the like terms. Okay? Now, look at this next problem here. This does not mean to distribute the exponent to everything. That is incorrect. What that squared means is that I have x plus 1 written twice. So I've got x plus 1 times x plus 1. What do you think I would do now? First, outer, inner, last. FOIL, okay? Make sure you know that's what that squared means. It does not mean x squared plus 1, okay? So, what would I multiply to begin with, Abby? X and x, which is x squared. What comes after that, Marcus? X times 1, which is positive 1x. What comes after that, Brianna? 1 and x, which is 1 times x is 1x. Very good. And Victoria, what comes finally? 1 times 1 is 1. Please make sure you do not write that as 2. I've marked too many problems wrong because people do not know how to multiply with a 1. They say, oh, 2 times 1 is 3. 3 times 1 is 4. No, 2 times 1 is 2. 3 times 1 is 3. 4 times 1 is 4. Anything times 1 is itself, okay? So I add my like terms, and my final answer is going to be x squared plus 2x plus 1. All right, let's do the next one. Trent, what would I multiply to begin with? The x's. X times x is x squared. Dalton, what would I do after that? Oh, first outer, you're right. X and positive 2, which is plus 2x. Austin, after that? Negative 2 and x because it's inner. Negative 2x is my answer here. And then, Neil, what comes finally? Negative 2 and positive 2, which is negative 4. Now, look what I have here. If I were to multiply my inside terms, add 2x minus 2x is what? 0. They totally cancel out. Do I need to write a 0x in the middle? No. I can just write my final answer as x squared minus 4. Now, if you want to write 0x, that's fine. You won't get any points marked off. It's just a little bit extra work for you. All right, I want you to do this last one on your own. Okay, Asia, tell me, what did you get when you FOILed everything? Not your final answer, but just the first part before you combine like terms.
2x plus 4x plus x plus 2.
2x plus 4x plus x plus 2. Who can tell me what is wrong with this? Brittany? 2x squared. Do not forget, because what you're going to have there is if you don't have a 2x squared, you're going to say, oh, 2x plus 4x is 6 plus 1x is 7x, and you're going to get a wrong answer. So what should my final answer be, Rashid?
2x squared plus 5x plus 2.
Perfect. Very good. Okay? Now, what I said before was if I have 4 terms, 4 letters in FOIL, I can use that. But what happens when I have more than 4 terms? Look right here. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 terms. So I know foiling is out of the question. All you're going to do is distributive property. Now, distributive property, usually we have an x, something like this, and so we would distribute that x to everything, and I'd get 2x minus x squared. But if you look out in front here, I've got 2 terms. So guess what? Each of those terms have to be distributed to everything after it. So let's distribute our x first. X times 5 is 5x. X times 3x is 3x squared. X times negative x to the second power is negative x to the third power. Now, how you know how many x's you have is I say, okay, there's 1 here and there's 2 here. So if I combined them, I would have 3. And that's how I know to write to the third power. Okay? I distributed everything in the first, or everything in the first term. So now I'm going to do the second. Negative 2 times 5 is negative 10. Negative 2 times 3x is negative 6x. And lastly, negative 2 times negative x squared is going to be what? Positive 2x squared. Now, I know my final answer has to be written in what? Standard form. So that means which one of these terms has to be written first? Negative x cubed. Does negative x cubed have any like terms to combine with? No. Okay, so I just write them out here in front. Negative x cubed. What would need to come next?
Square x squared.
3x squared and 2x squared. Combine those and I get 5x squared. What comes next? 5x and negative 6x, which leaves me with negative 1x, or negative x. You can leave out the 1. And last but not least, negative 10 goes on the very end. Okay? I like to cross them out after I've written them just so I know, okay, I've taken care of it. That way I can look back and see, did I miss any terms? And this is my final answer. Okay? Let's do distributive property on the next one. I'm going to multiply x times x squared first. And what am I going to get? X cubed. Then I'm going to multiply x times 3x and I get 3x squared. Then I multiply x times negative 2 and I get negative 2x. Once I've distributed that x to everything, I now start distributing the 1. 1 times x is 1x, or x squared. 1x squared, sorry. And 1 times 3x is 3x. 1 times negative 2 is negative 2. What has to be written first in my final answer? 1x cubed or x cubed. Does x cubed have anything to combine with? Nope. What needs to come next? 3x squared and 1x, which is going to give me, 1x squared, which is 4x squared. Next is going to be negative 2x and 3x, which is 1x or x. And last but not least, we have negative 2. Remember, the constant always goes on the end. All right, y'all do this last one on your own. Okay, Rashid, tell me what you got.
4x cubed minus 1x plus 3.
Okay, tell me what you got when you multiplied it first, before you tell me the final answer.
4x cubed plus 2x squared. And screw it on that. 6x, negative 6x minus 2x squared minus 1x plus 3.
Perfect. And when you combine like terms and wrote it in standard form, what was your final answer?
4x cubed minus 1x plus 3.
What was that? 4x cubed.
Minus 1x.
Not going to be minus 1x. Okay, what happened to the 2x squareds here?
They cancel out.
They cancel out, so I don't need to write them. But what is negative 6x plus negative 1x?
Oh, negative 7.
Negative 7x. And lastly, I have plus 3. So this is my final answer here. Okay? That is how you multiply polynomials. If you have 4 terms, you can use FOIL. 3, 5, or any greater than that, you would use distributive property.